Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown between two mighty competitors. On the left hand side we have Sergeant Spaghetti leading a very special DAWI build to the Golden Monolith Plains to face Azrael and his Skaven forces. And as you may predict, or see I suppose, from the moment of deployment, the Dwarfs have gone for a rather Vanguard heavy build. So let's hop in here and have a little look at it. So up in the skies we do have a couple of units of gyrocopters, and down here in the rest of the deployment we do have a mighty double Thane and Belegar pick, and Belegar honestly just seems like a souped up Thane even in his model as well. So we've got basic Thanes, they are going to be coming in completely butt naked. Looks like Belegar is going to be doing the same as well, so an incredibly cheap hero and lord core, but again it's still relatively deadly, and if they team up together they should be able to overwhelm the majority of the Skaven leadership themselves. I'd also like the pick of the gyrocopter now because of this giant monolith in the centre of the battlefield, and the way the battlefield is indeed sloped on both sides. The force of Skaven are most certainly going to predict that the DAWI are hiding down here in the snowy plains, as they have seen the gyrocopters up in the sky. But little do they know, in their rear, the crouching, hidden DAWI forces are going to be approaching from the rear, and no one certainly expects the DAWI Inquisition. We have miners with blasting charges dotted all the way along the battle line, including the Ekrund miners. Blasting charges going to be particularly good at clearing out some of the chaff the Skaven can bring to the forefront. Then we have a next battle line of Rangers dotted all the way along, and they're going to be backed up by the Bugman Rangers, who are the more elite version. You know, we don't get to see terribly often, but they are incredibly badass. Pretty decent stats all round, and they of course do have liquid fortification. A touch of Bugman's courage can keep a dwarf standing and fighting, a touch unsteady on their feet. Plus 4 hit points per second. Lovely little boost there to regeneration. Now the Skaven forces have set up in a really nice traditional approach. We're going for a bit of an onion with clan rats and Skaven slaves dotted along the front line. Cheap, cheerful, and very happy to be here in the snowy plains. And in the secondary line we have Death Globe Bombardiers, the more expensive variety here. Looks like just the one unit. We also have the Avalanche Mortars, regiment of renowned Death Globe Mortars, and a ton of Warplock Jezzails, as well as artillery in the form of Warp Lightning Cannons and Plague Claw Catapults. So certainly looking to just slow the enemy down with their front chaff. Have a few more elite units in the back, such as Clan Rats and Stormvermin with Halberds, and some Rat Ogres for a bit of counter punch. Looks like we just have the one in the centre pocket here. For the leadership core, we do have an assassin hidden in the snowy plains here, coming in of course with the traditional stuff that any good assassin does bring to the field, assassin trophies as well as slippery. And for the lord option, we do have Lord Skrog, protected here by the elite Stormvermin with Halberdiers, and he of course is coming in with the Liber Bubonicus, as well as the Rod of Corruption, two incredibly powerful items. He's coming in with Pestilent Breath, Plague, Vermintide, as well as Wither, Splash of Filth, and Pestilent Breath. So far too many spells in my humble opinion. We'll have to see if he does manage to get through all of them, however. So it looks like the Rangers have announced themselves at this moment, unleashing hell upon some of the Rat Ogres in the rear, doing some really lovely damage onto them, and they're going to be quickly trying to turn around and engage in the main battle line. But the Skaven have an option here. Little do they know what does hide behind this ridge, so they have to make the assumption that, you know, is there still some dwarfs over there, or all of them coming from the rear? Lovely punch straight to the face by the Rat Ogres, who tear in to the miners with blasting charges. But as you can see, all the way along the battle line, Skaven slaves and the more cheaper troops are getting obliterated on the approach by miners, and unfortunately some of the clan rats are getting hit as well, and the bowfire has opened up on the Death Globe Bombardiers, and look how quickly they are absolutely slaughtered here by the Bugman Rangers and Basic Ranger Alliance. A lovely Plague Monk summon has gone down in the back lines here to help slow and prevent the dwarves from approaching too quickly. Looks like they're going to be able to hop on top of some Bugman Rangers as the other Rangers do flee, leaving their fellow dwarfs to die in the freezing cold here. Avalanche Mortars are raining death from afar, really obliterating some of those Rangers from long range. These guys do magic damage, however, so the dwarfs should be able to tank a little bit with their natural resistance. Gyrocopters have now sprung the trap and going to be pushing forward into this squishy, juicy back line of Jezzails and cannons. It looks like the hero crew is marching forward, although they are taking some cannon shots to the face. Over in the back pocket, it looks like Bugman Rangers still have a lovely little firing arc, but the centre is getting really messy. Lord Skrog has led a counter charge directly down the throats of this Dwarf Vanguard, with the Stormvermin afoot as well as Plague Monk summons. We can see the Bugman Rangers and Basic Rangers getting forced back in absolute droves, and it looks like the Vanguard may be buckling a little bit here, but the heroes are on the approach there. Sorry about my voice there. So gyrocopters are now raining fire down upon the Warplock Gazelles, a really good target for them. Miners have forced their way past the assassin, can be hopping on top of the Plague Core catapults and slowly starting to shut down the crew. Unlike DAWI artillery crews, of course, Skaven are far squishier. Gyrocopters even daring to dart into combat to help mop up some of these artillery crewmen, and more Warplock Gazelles are getting shut down in the rear as well. However, the Avalanche Mortars are still online, up to 51 kills at this point. Clan Rats are slowly starting to buckle, and it looks like the countercharge of the Skaven has slowly started to stutter and come to a stop here. There's some more Clan Rat summons in the back line, going to help shut down the Bugman Rangers and hopefully force off some of these DAWI troops who have been allowed to rally here. And this is a bit of a disaster for the forces of the Skaven. However, they will have relatively low leadership, being so beat up, so perhaps the Mortar can stop them on the approach. We even have some cheeky Skaven slaves going for a lovely little rear attack here. The Hero Corps of the Dwarfs has finally made it into combat, getting a few kills on some cheap and rather unhappy now Skaven slaves, but they're now going to be pushing forward to shut down the mortars. This is a really glorious play by the DAWI player. He needs to shut these guys down. They are raining a huge amount of damage into that back line. Now, for the Dwarfs, they'll push up the hill here. It looks like it is faltering. Miners with Blast and Charges are now getting mopped up by some of the characters in the form of the Assassins. And this is going to allow the Warplock Gazelles to redeploy up here on the high ground, along with their artillery pieces, and rain hell down upon the Dwarfs on the low ground. Obi-Wan certainly proud of these Skaven boys. Gyrocopter is flying away now and routing for the field, taking a huge shot, and down we go. Black Hawk down. PTSD here for the Dwarfs. That was an amazing film back in the day. But yeah, Thanes and Belagar are going to be pushing forward now, trying to push up onto the Plague Claw catapult. There's not too much to stop them. Some slaves, rat ogres, and other units are kind of distracted at the moment by the Gyrocopters in the back line. Avalanche Mortars have been enabled to stabilise themselves, which is a big problem for the Dwarf forces, as down here on the low ground you can see the DAWI are incredibly beat up. Bugman Rangers and Rangers really looking quite thin, as well as the Miners, and more shots are now raining down the hill in the form of those catapult shots. And yeah, Rangers are having a real bad time down here, and they're just clearing their way through some summoned Clan Rats, so not even getting particularly fantastic value. Lord Skrulk is having an absolute crazy time as well. We can see some glorious attack animations by him as he flings his mail left, right, cleaving beard and heavy armor asunder, and just having a whale of a time. Up to 36 kills, going to be breaking off some of these Bugman Rangers. Of course, aren't really built to design to face a character like Skrulk in hand-to-hand combat. Assassin is trying to get involved with the Thane Goon squad, and despite the fact his name may tell you he's an assassin, he's the one that's being assassinated right now. If you're a single target, you don't really want to duel free. Even despite the fact you're maybe a better duelist, you will simply get overwhelmed. It looks like the Warp Lightning Cannons are trying to correct this, though, by firing down on the Hero Core. They're one of the only good utility tools the Skaven have left to take down these Thanes alongside the Warplock Gazelles. Miners have now finally shut down the Plague Claw catapult for good, it would seem, and forced off a unit of Ratos for pushing up the hill. These Ekron Miners have got some fantastic value so far, only 629 damage value, but the fact they've managed to shut down that artillery is huge at this point. Warplock Gazelles are being forced to shoot into crummy units like Miners just to save themselves from being overrun, although some Skaven slaves are darting down the hill to help protect this glorious Skaven back line. Looks like the Avalanche Mortars are going to survive once more. Some more Skaven slaves have chucked their bodies on the line, and point-blank range. This is what you get for saving your artillery if you're Skaven. You get blown up by your own artillery, but, you know, it is allowing the Skaven to wreak havoc here, up to 153 kills. Lord Skrulk is going to be trotting his way back to the main battle line, and now we have some really good play by the Skaven player, using these Skaven slaves who are incredibly beat up at this point just to chase off DAWI units. He definitely wants to split these two up, though, however. Both chasing one unit is not good value. Get one of them floating over to this left-hand side to finish off those Rangers and try and push the balance of power even more in the Skaven favour, as it is currently hugely in their advantage. Miners are finally shut down, but not before they manage to finish off the Warp Lightning Cannon crew, or at least drive them back up into the tree line for a little while longer. And every second they can get them off their artillery pieces is another second the Dwarfs can take to gain the advantage back into the game, get a foothold, and drive their way up to try and sort out these Warplock Gazelles, who are currently Kobeing shots down into the Bugman Rangers. Not the best target, though. These guys are, of course, going to be regenerating as they go. I think they need to use what little ammunition they have left to try sniping out some of the Thanes, as well as Belagar, as they're going to be an absolute nightmare in this late game to deal with. Let the Mortars and just the sheer weight of numbers clear up all the other troops. We'll see some Mortars are shooting into those Miners, trying to shatter them for good. Don't want them popping up into the back line, where they can do serious damage to these Warplock Gazelles. Lord Skrulk as well is cackling, chasing off Miners with Blast and Charges, just having a whale of a time as he does. And it looks like the Mortars should be able to finish off the Ekron Miners, you would assume. Only 8 models left, but they're still holding firm for now. in the tree line. It looks like a little bit of a mistake of not splitting up those Skaven forces earlier. Did nearly come back to bite them, but they should be able to overwhelm the Rangers here just through the sheer weight of numbers of these clan rats. And as we can see, the Rangers not having the best of time. They're going to be upsetting their ancestors, fleeing home to take that Slayer oath and come back with a vengeance in future. Lord Skroke is incredibly healthy, and with his items, he should do relatively good up against the Thanes and Belegar. But it looks like the Warplogged Gazelles still insisting on hunting down the Bugman Rangers, which I do think is a bit of a mistake. Only 17 models on these guys, don't have enough punch on them to do that much damage. And it looks like the Warp Lightning Cannon crew is back online. Instantly going to be shooting Belegar in the face. He raises his mighty shield in defiance of such heretical weaponry, but it still hurt him quite badly there. Down to 2,900 health. They're not going to get a second volley off, though. Not on his watch. And Belegar leads the charge up the hill, slaughtering the Skaven artillery crew and carrying their severed heads home with him. It looks like some of the Warplogged Gazelles actually destroy their own cannons, which is pretty hilarious stuff. And a little bit of juke in here from the Dwarfs. They prove that you can do it too. Hiding behind the Warp Lightning Cannon. That is a big brain Belegar play there. 5,000 IQ Belegar tactics, and it looks like that has destroyed all the artillery pieces. I don't know if that was deliberate or if he was just trying to juke shots, which is more likely option, but I'm going to put it down to Belegar knowing what's up, and it looks like the Thanes are actually going to be darting and hiding behind this other artillery piece. Avalanche Mortars are now out of ammunition at this point. 168 kills, though. They've certainly had a good display by them. The Assassin's going to float out to try and deal with the Miners. He is very low health-wise, but he is bounding with gusto into the enemy formation, and he'll be able to tear through these Miners without taking too much damage, and instantly gets one kill, severing the head of that poor Miner, who looks like his nervous system was keeping him alive a little while longer than he realistically wanted to be. Big problems now, though, for the forces of Skaven. All three weapon teams here are out of ammunition. They've done decent damage to Belegar Ironhammer, but the Assassin and Skroke certainly need to try and outmaneuver these Thanes and get a good engagement on Belegar, finish him off before taking on the Thanes. You do not want to take all three DAWI characters on in one go. And if we actually take a look across the battlefield, the Dwarfs are fighting back. They are rallying to the king. Although it looks like a nasty summon is going to come down just as I say that. Those pesky Skaven. And it looks like it is going to be a Plague Monk summon. This is scary stuff. These guys are huge damage dealers and anti-infantry. Very good up against forces of the DAWI in general. But with Belegar here on so low health, if they can catch him and pin him in, they will shred him to pieces. And it looks like Lord Skroke is going to be taking the initiative and charging forth. The Thanes floating out to this side. Assassin just does not want to get engaged with this. Just simply fall back, kite the Thanes if possible, and drag them out of formation so that they cannot come in and save Belegar, who's still going to continue to run. He's not actually taking too much damage at this point, and of course the summon will eventually wear out over time, but Lord Skroke is arriving. He is bounding towards the enemy, and he said he needs to start using some of his items. I haven't seen them used just yet, but perhaps he's saving them for the late game. Rangers do manage to finish off some Warp Lightning Cannon crew before they can get over here. I don't think you can use artillery crews from a different machine on. So for example, the Warp Lightning Cannon crew, I don't think can come onto the Plague Claw Catapult. If they can, that's pretty elite stuff. I don't know if he was trying to waddle over here or if he was just engaging in combat. That's something I need to try out, but I don't think it's possible. Plague Monks help in assisting in the slaughter of Belegar. He's been a brave dwarf today for sure. He's certainly made his ancestors proud, but he is now running with Assassin's Trophy popped on him, which is a sad sight after a really heroic performance by him. It looks like his Thanes are going to be answering the call. It is simply not a retreat. It is a tactical withdrawal, dragging in the Thanes to the trap the DAWI set for them. It looks like a Rod of Corruption has gone down on top of both Thanes, and looks like Belegar may have even been hit with it a little bit as well. The Thanes taking huge damage, and Lord Skroke is really no pushover whatsoever. He is a little bit squishy, but he can pack a huge punch. Assassins have been forced off here, and it looks like the Rangers are going to be pulling their weight over to Lord Skroke, although they're very low on ammunition at this point. And Belegar rallies in the last quarter here. 470 health. He's still got a little bit of a scrap left in him yet. Lord Skroke forces off one Thane, which is really good play by him, and now he's taken on the other legendary DAWI hero, who should hopefully be inspired by that glorious strutting DAWI in the distance there. Nice little swing and attack animation though there from Lord Skroke, trying to do the damage, and he's certainly beating these Thanes back in the one-on-one situation. But if we look at the balance of power, the forces of Skaven technically are outnumbered at this point, and the only other troops they have in it are Warplogged Gazelles with 0 ammunition. It really is Lord Skroke versus the world at this point, and Belegar back with a vengeance with a flying kick to the face, doing some huge damage to Lord Skrog, who's going to try his best here. Unfortunately for him, he's a good combatant, but again, rather squishy. And up against two characters, it's always going to go badly for the single one here. And he is fleeing, scuttling away. And with that, the Dwarfs do turn this around. What an epic comeback there, and a Pyrrhic victory. That was the definition of Pyrrhic. Nothing left, really, for the forces of the Dwarfs. Massive shout out to Sergeant Spaghetti, as well as Azrael here. Two fantastic lads. Faced both of them on ladder, and we've had Sergeant Spaghetti on the channel quite a few times already, showing pinning a really fantastic display. Before we do break down the builds, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more Total War Warhammer content. We do drop videos every single day, and feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up. And I love to read your comments. I can no longer reply to them all, unfortunately, like I once did, but I really enjoy looking through them and do check out every single one. So feel free to comment down below, either on the game or what you expect from Total War Warhammer 3. The trailer did drop today. I am incredibly excited. I won't say too much, just in case I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the trailer yet, but certainly go check it out, and then comment down below in the description what you thought of the trailer, what you're excited for. Anyway, for the forces here of Azrael, doing a brilliant job. The Avalanche Mortars got 2,994 damage value. They are insanely powerful. I think in this matchup, though, the regular mortars may be slightly better due to that magic damage, not being too effective up against the Dwarfs. But this does go to show, it doesn't matter if you do magic damage, if you pack enough punch, you will get some glorious kills. Unlucky for the Death Globe Bombardiers, they couldn't really kind of shine in this matchup whatsoever, mainly due to that big old Vanguard in the back. The big brain plays coming in from Sergeant Spaghetti did unfortunately make these guys completely neutered. The Warlord Giselles got some really good value and managed to use up all their ammunition. I think the only problem with them is they focused down some of the Rangers when they needed to focus down the characters. But apart from that, really good backline protection and rotating his formation around up the hill, not only to gain the high ground, but also to escape that pesky Vanguard in the back line. So he dealt with it relatively well, considering how scary it was. The artillery pieces didn't really shine too heavily, Warp Lightning Cannon being the better of the two, but they didn't have many glorious targets either to focus down, and the Rat Ogres did struggle, as well as the majority of the infantry, but that is expected. The Assassin as well got kind of mixed up in the wrong crowd, but Lord Skrog did very well, 7,700 damage dealt, 63 kills, and some big punches at the death there, but unfortunately couldn't quite finish off the units. If he had managed to kill Belegar instead of drive him off, I think the Skaven maybe would have been in for a comeback, because as we saw, he beat down one Thane and then was in the process of beating the other. As for Sergeant Spaghetti's forces, what a Vanguard play here. The Gyrocopters not really doing too fantastic, but good backline harass and just annoying the Skaven. That was kind of their main job. But the Bugman Rangers, a unit I wish we saw more often. So most of them struggled to get their value back. Two of them, though, really performed very well. 1,100 damage value here, and on the other one, 1,200, gaining a chevron and doing 7,000 damage. So a bit of a mixed bag, but that is what you expect when you do go for a huge play like this. Rangers in the back line not faring too well damage value-wise, but they managed to shut down a lot of the Skaven kind of pressure, which then allowed the other units to really shine. Particularly the Ekrund Miners, not only did they get really good damage dealt and damage value, they were pivotal in shutting down those artillery pieces and allowing the Dwarfs to claw their way back into the game. Across the board as well, you can see, of course, the Miners doing huge damage dealt, as is expected. The Double Thane did relatively well as bodyguards here for the mighty Belegar, but Belegar, the true champion, 3,700 damage dealt, 42 kills, and over 1,000 damage value, rallying the Dwarf Warriors to the cause and coming back to a fight in the late game. And guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.